Discover the amazing secrets of how Vikings thrived in longhouses, revealed after 2,000 years. Sam stood in the fading sunlight, the golden rays reflecting off the remnants of resilience that marked her family's land in Maplewood. Once a bustling town, it now whispered the tales of factories gone silent, a painful echo of a past that loomed over her like a shadow. As a single mother to Danny and Leela, the responsibility of their family farm weighed heavily on her shoulders. The loss of her job at the factory, a place her father had sacrificed so much for, felt like losing an anchor in a storm. Every evening she felt the sun dip below the horizon, a reminder that time was slipping away, along with the hope of sustaining their legacy. The wide fields, once vibrant with life, now stood as a reminder of what was and what could be lost forever. But then, while rummaging through the attic for supplies, she stumbled upon a dusty leather-bound journal. Curious, she opened it and was enveloped by the lives of Vikings, tales of longhouses that flourished against the odds, a community of strength, unity, and resilience. Returning to the present, excitement bubbled within her. These stories of survival ignited a spark. She could revive the longhouses and build something that would unify Maplewood. She envisioned a project honoring their shared history and a way to bring the townsfolk together. With energized fervor, she pitched her idea at the town meeting, her heart racing. "We can create something that celebrates who we are. Longhouses can be a symbol of our community." But instead of cheers, she was met with cold skepticism. Roger Banks, a businessman who saw dollar signs instead of history, stood up, cutting through her enthusiasm. "Are we really prepared to sacrifice our future for a dream anchored in an outdated past?" His words hung like a heavy fog, smothering her hopes. That voice, strong and dismissive, ignited old prejudices in the crowd. They seemed more interested in profits than preserving their roots. The air grew thick with resentment as Sam realized her battle wasn't just against Roger, but against years of ingrained beliefs. Feeling a gnawing sense of despair, Sam nearly faltered. But then she found herself rallying support from her neighbors, enlisting the help of local artisans and bright-eyed kids eager to dive in. They worked tirelessly, pouring their heart into the project. With each nail driven into wood, hope began to stitch the community back together. But just as anticipation brewed, so did doubts among the townsfolk, murmurs of helplessness in the face of corporate greed. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now, let's continue. The days blurred into weeks as she prepared for the town fair, breathing life into trembling hopes. The Viking-inspired longhouses stood almost ready, a testament to their shared history and resilience. Yet, with each passing moment, Roger's determination to squash their dreams grew fiercer. On the fair day, excitement swirled like a strong breeze, but the tension felt palpable. As the crowd gathered, Sam's heart raced. Just then, Roger stepped forward, his voice sharp and challenging. "Are we really prepared to sacrifice our future for a dream anchored in an outdated past?" Hearts caught in throats, uncertainty crept through the crowd, each gaze heavy with doubt. Sam felt the weight of their past and their future. She stood at the precipice, balancing hope and despair, knowing the ultimate question loomed large. Could Maplewood navigate the shadows of its own making, or would her vision dissolve like the sunset, leaving only darkness behind? The crowd was thick with silence, a cocoon of tension. Sam's heart pounded loudly in her chest, drowning out everything else. She looked around, searching for faces that might still hold hope. Danny clutched Leela's hand tightly, his brows furrowed in worry. The innocence of childhood momentarily eclipsed by the weight of the adult's uncertainty. Listen, she finally spoke, trying to quell the trembling in her voice. This isn't just about a project. It's about us, our history, and our future. Look at these walls we're raising together. Each nail represents the promise of our community, our resilience against the odds. But as she spoke, she met Roger's icy gaze. It felt like a spotlight aimed at her, revealing the cracks in her certainty. Sam felt the ground beneath her start to shift, the energy in the air a mix of hope and despair. What if her efforts weren't enough? What if the town didn't care after all? Suddenly, an unexpected cheer broke through the murmur of uncertainty. It was Janet, an elderly woman who'd lived in Maplewood her whole life. Sam's right, her voice rang clear, warm as a cozy hearth. We've lost so much in this town. This is our chance to remember who we are. The enthusiasm radiated through the crowd as murmurs of agreement began to swell. Encouraged, Sam pressed on. Together, we can build something that outlasts our fears. Longhouses symbolize community, warmth, safety, and thriving together. They're not just a dream, they're a reminder of our strength, our unity. Inspired by the moment, people started to step forward, nodding, clapping, even shouting in agreement. The atmosphere shifted. Eyes that once dimmed with doubt now sparked little fires of hope. Roger, realizing he was losing ground, attempted to regain control. Are you really willing to bet our future on this nostalgia? We need jobs, progress, he barked, desperation creeping into his tone. With her heart racing, Sam decided to take a step back. She needed to bridge the gap between nostalgia and progress. We can do both, Roger. We can honor our past while building something new. Imagine a community center, a place for workshops where we teach our kids about everything, from Viking crafts to modern sustainability. This can be a hub for jobs and unity. The crowd murmured, intrigued, though a few faces remained skeptical. Danny's eyes shone, filled with pride for his mother's courage. Sam could feel the wheels turning in the minds around her. But just when it seemed the tide was turning in her favor, a loud voice interrupted. You think a center will bring back what we've lost? This town needs real infrastructure, not a glorified barn. It was someone Sam had once considered a friend, and the sting of betrayal struck hard. Do we really want to be defined by what's lost? Sam shot back, feeling the anger rise but choosing her words carefully. Or by how we rebuild? We all know what hit us, but isn't it time to rise from the ashes together? Faces in the crowd shifted, some softened, others hardened. The battlefield within Maplewood was alive, a play of two futures at war, each vying for dominance. Sam took a deep breath, hoping for a breakthrough. Would the roots of their shared history be enough to nurture something new? As the chill of uncertainty hung heavy in the air, Sam realized the fight wasn't just for a building. It was for the very fabric of their community. Would they choose division or renewal? Just then, the wind picked up, swirling around them, a metaphor for the change they desperately needed. Sam's resolve solidified. She would fight, not just for the Longhouses, but for a Maplewood that thrived again. Then she felt a hand on her shoulder. It was Leela, her small voice breaking through the intensity. Mommy, don't give up. You always say we're stronger together. In that moment, Sam knew. This was where she needed to focus her energy, to ignite not just her dream, but their shared vision. But as she looked out at the crowd, an unexpected figure stepped up to the microphone. It was Roger again, but this time with a different glint in his eye. What change was he about to bring in an already tumultuous evening? Roger took a slow step forward, his presence commanding attention. The crowd hushed again, the air thick with anticipation. Sam's heart raced as she tried to read his expression. Gone was the harsh skepticism. Now there was something different, something almost vulnerable. Listen up, everyone, Roger began, his voice steadier than before. I've fought hard against this idea, but maybe I've been too stuck in my own head.
We do need jobs, yes, but that doesn't mean we can't build a future that honors our past. Sam felt a flicker of hope ignite in her chest. Could this be the turning point? Was Roger really willing to consider a compromise? He continued, his tone softening. What if we incorporated local craftsmanship into these longhouses? We could teach the community to create beautiful, sustainable structures and sell them. That would bring jobs, a revitalization of our economy, and our culture. Murmurs of approval rippled through the crowd, but Sam could sense the wariness still lurking. People exchanged glances, half-hearted smiles creeping in. Think about it, Roger added, catching Sam's gaze. A blend of our history and practical needs. Our kids could learn valuable skills, and we could host markets, feasts, even festivals to celebrate Maplewood's roots with longhouses as our centerpiece. The warmth in his words began to thaw the ice that had enveloped the town. Sam stepped closer to him, feeling gratitude flood through her. That's the spirit, Roger. We can work together this time, become a community we all cherish. But then came another voice. And what about funding? Who's going to pay for all this? It was Lucy, another town council member, her skepticism sharp. We still have bills to pay, people. Hope won't put food on the table. A wave of muttering washed through the crowd again. Sam felt the ground beneath her sway, uncertain if they were truly moving forward. She turned to Danny and Leela, who were watching with wide eyes, their small hands intertwined. Suddenly, Leela piped up. What if we ask for help? Other towns, people who've done it before. Sam smiled, encouraged by her daughter's words. Exactly. We can look for grants and community support, all those who believe in rebuilding together. We could even make it a town-wide project, getting everyone involved, cleaning up, planning, working together. The crowd began to buzz with optimism. Conversation sparked like fireworks, a symphony of ideas melding into something more than just a dream. Roger grinned, the tension in his shoulders easing just a bit. See, that's the kind of spirit we need. If we all pull together, we can make this happen. But we need everyone's voice in this, all of them, not just our own. More hands rose in the air, asking to contribute, sharing their own ideas about how to forge ahead. The energy shifted dramatically, a palpable sense of unity spreading like wildfire. Sam felt tears prick her eyes. This was not just about longhouses anymore. It was a rebirth of their town, a rekindling of hope. She glanced at Leela, who smiled brightly, as if she understood the weight of the moment. And just as they seemed to be reaching a consensus, Roger raised the hand again. But I think we also need to talk to the mayor, get some endorsements. This isn't going to be an easy road. The mood shifted again, uncertainty creeping back in. Would they face opposition again? Sam took a deep breath, grounding herself in the hope they had cultivated. Okay, so let's organize our thoughts. Let's draft a plan, meet with the mayor, do this right. We can overcome these
hurdles together. But as more voices joined in, echoing their agreement, a rustle at the edge of the crowd caught her attention. A figure stepped out of the shadows, a face familiar yet tangled in history. Sam felt a chill run through her. It was someone she never expected to see again. Would this person bring more turmoil, or could they help shape this new direction? The crowd fell silent as the figure emerged, the fading light of the afternoon catching the contours of a face that sparked long-buried memories. Jessica. It had been years since she left Maplewood, chasing bigger dreams in far-off cities. And now, here she was, stepping into a moment that was heavy with possibilities. Sam's heart raced. She remembered their last conversation, full of dreams and promises, but ultimately cut short by disappointment and departure. Jessica had left this town behind, convinced there was nothing left for her here. And now she returned, amidst their hopes for the future, and Sam couldn't shake the feeling of what that might mean. "Jessica?" Sam called out, surprised at the crack in her voice. The people around her turned, their expressions a mix of curiosity and confusion. Jessica squared her shoulders, her brow furrowing slightly as she studied the crowd.
I didn't mean to interrupt, she said, raising her hands in an attempt to soothe the sudden tension. But I couldn't stand on the sidelines any longer. I heard about the meeting and felt compelled to come back. Roger stepped forward, crossing his arms as if to shield the group from something he didn't fully understand. "You've got something to say? Now's the time," he urged, a cautious edge in his tone. "I do. I've seen what can happen when a community works together," she began, her voice energized yet earnest. "In my new town, they took a dying part of the community and transformed it. They brought in artisans and craftspeople, turning their struggles into something beautiful." Sam felt a flicker of hope once more. Could Jessica be the bridge they needed? But then doubt crept back in. She knew how hard it could be to reconcile shared histories with present truths. "What happened to you in your big dreams?" Lucy interjected, her voice tinged with skepticism. "Why come back now?" "I realized something," Jessica replied, her gaze shifting through the crowd. "Chasing success away from where you belong can only take you so far. I want to be a part of something that matters. Our heritage matters. Maplewood matters. And I want to help." People whispered to each other, their initial wariness starting to ebb. Perhaps they recognized that Jessica's past was intertwined with Maplewood's identity. Sam could see her friends, Danny and Leela, watching intently, their eyes wide with possibility. "Then let's brainstorm together," Sam encouraged, stepping forward. "What have you learned? How can we bring those ideas here?" Jessica took a deep breath, her passion igniting in the energy of the crowd. "We can create
workshops, invite artists to come teach, host cultural events. You'd be surprised what kind of grants are out there focused on community revitalization." The chatter resumed, vibrant and bubble-like, echoing of hope and enthusiasm. Sam could feel a tide rolling in, the community leaning in a new direction. A combination of memories and future visions suddenly felt more possible. But just as excitement filled the air, a voice rang out from the back. "What's the catch?" It was the same naysayer, a man who always stood ready to challenge the light they tried to build. "No one just comes back with open arms. What do you really want?" Silence fell over the crowd again, tension tightening around them like a noose. Sam glanced at Jessica, who seemed to weigh every word on the tip of her tongue. "I want to make things better," she answered finally, her voice steady. "For all of us. I know it won't be easy, but I'm dedicated to it." Sam's breath hitched. Would they trust Jessica enough? Could she unite them in this path forward? As noise bubbled back into the crowd, agreement intermingled with doubt, Sam felt a surge of urgency. The weight of history, both painful and hopeful, hung over them. She wondered what secrets from their past might shape the future they were now crafting. And amid that swirling cloud of uncertainty, a deeper question arose. How would they navigate old wounds and newfound dreams side by side? The tension in the air was palpable, an invisible thread connecting every heart in the crowd. Jessica stood there, framed by the soft, golden glow of dusk, as if she was a lighthouse guiding them toward uncharted waters. Sam could see the flicker of determination in her eyes, a fierce spark against the soft shadows of doubt. "Let's not forget our history," Jessica continued, her voice gaining strength. "Maplewood has been through hard times. These streets hold stories of struggles, but also of triumph. If we can tap into that spirit, we can create something new together." A few head nods and murmurs of agreement rippled through the crowd, but uncertainty still lingered like an unwelcome guest clinging to the edges of hope. Roger still stood skeptical, arms crossed tightly against his chest. "And what if it fails?" he shot back. "What if we're just spinning our wheels again?" "Then we learn," Jessica replied, snapping back with conviction. "We evolve. Every attempt is a step forward, even if it doesn't look like success at first. Remember, the most beautiful trees come from the toughest soil." Her words hung in the air, echoing the resilience of a town long forged in hardship. Sam's heart swelled. She felt the weight of something beginning to shift, like the first stirrings of spring after a long winter. She couldn't help but picture the community she loved, every faded shop front, the park where kids played, the local diner filled with laughter. Could they really revive that?
What are you thinking, Leela?
I think she's got something here, Sam replied, voice trembling slightly. But we can't just jump in. We need to know what we're getting into. Before she could say anything more, Lucy's voice broke in again, louder this time. What about funding? Will you just come back and expect us to do all the heavy lifting? The question hung heavily, but Sam could see others begin to rally behind Jessica, voices rising in support. Yes, we've been led astray before, but I think we can partner with organizations. I can help find grants, pitch ideas. Jessica's enthusiasm radiated like a beacon, lighting up the faces around her. We just need to pool our skills, our resources. Look at this crowd. We have artists, teachers, tradespeople, all right here. What do you need us to do first? A voice from the back asked tentatively. Jessica's face lit up like a spark igniting into flames. Let's hold a workshop, a gathering of sorts where we can discuss what's possible, celebrate our crafts, our stories, our talents. The response will show us our options. We can start small, see what connects, and build from there. The crowd's energy swelled with each word. Sam caught Danny's eye and felt that electricity they all shared when their dreams began to take root. Maybe they could rewrite their story together. But as the excitement reached a climax, Roger spoke up again, his voice chilling the air. And what about the hardships? You think it's just going to be easy? We've faced a lot of challenges before. Why should this be any different? The energy in the crowd shifted. Sam felt the weight of his words land like a stone in her stomach. Could they really overcome the past? Would they be strong enough to face whatever new challenges lay ahead? Jessica paused, her gaze steady, meeting Roger's challenge with fierce sincerity. It won't be easy, I won't pretend, but nothing worth having ever is. Moments later, as the crowd erupted into conversations, Sam found herself feeling both exhilarated and terrified. The road ahead was unclear. Old wounds still lingered, and ghosts of the past often returned at the most inconvenient times. What would they risk in the name of change? As shadows fell around them, a new question emerged. Would they boldly step into the future together, or would fear pull them back into silence? The crowd murmured with excitement, their voices blending into a chorus of hope and hesitance. Sam stood on the periphery, her mind racing. Jessica's words had ignited a spark in others, but the flicker of doubt in her own heart refused to be snuffed out. Fear and hope danced together like autumn leaves caught in a gust of wind. What do we do now? Lila asked, visibly pumped but undeniably wary. Her fingers fidgeted with the hem of her shirt, betraying her nerves. Now we organize, Jessica replied, exuding an energy that
Was almost contagious. We form committees, gather ideas, assign roles. We need every single person's voice and skill. We're rebuilding this town, together. A collective determination hung in the air. Yet Roger's earlier skepticism echoed in the back of Sam's mind. What if it all crumbles again? What if this is another dead end? The past felt heavy with unanswered questions. Within the buzz of conversation, she caught Danny's eye. His expression was a mix of energy and trepidation. The spark she'd felt between them during those fleeting moments now seemed like an uncertain flame. Would this change affect their friendship? She couldn't help but wonder if they were in this together. As Jessica called for volunteers, Sam felt her heart race, torn between stepping forward and stepping back. One by one, people began to stand, raising their hands and speaking up. "I can help with marketing," shouted a woman from the flower shop. "I'll handle logistics," chimed in a young man whose family had owned the hardware store for generations. Their excitement was palpable, infecting the crowd like a chain reaction. "Great, and how about we meet next weekend?" Jessica suggested, her voice ringing with excitement. "Let's gather some ideas and get the ball rolling." Suddenly, the energy of the crowd turned into a wave, and Sam found herself swept along. It was exhilarating and terrifying all at once.
She slid her hand into Danny's, and he squeezed it, as if to remind her she wasn't alone. "Can you feel it?" he whispered, his voice barely a breath above the din. "It's like we're standing on the edge of something big." But even as they stood together, she felt the familiar tendrils of doubt creeping back. What if they didn't have what it took? What if all their enthusiasm fizzled like a spark in the rain? Jessica shifted her attention back to the crowd, her voice strong and clear. "Let's remember why we're doing this. We can breathe new life into our community. We fight not just for ourselves, but for the next generation, for the kids of Maplewood to grow up in a place they're proud to call home." The words resonated deeply within Sam. She could picture the children playing in the revitalized park, laughter filling the air. A vision of hope began to weave into the fabric of her concerns. Yet the weight of uncertainty still weighed heavily on her heart. In the midst of all that excitement, there lingered an unsettling thought. What if old rivalries resurfaced? What if fear and mistrust drove them apart again? As the crowd continued to buzz with ideas, Sam took a slow breath, feeling the warmth of Danny's hand reassuring her. "Let's just start," she murmured, "one small step at a time." But just as excitement began to build and plans began to form, a sharp voice cut through the noise. "You really think everything will fall into place, don't you?" Roger's skepticism snapped back. "What about all of our failures? Are we doomed to repeat them? You can't just ignore the past." His words sliced through hope like a cold wind, leaving Sam feeling unsettled once again. Could they truly confront not just the uncertainty of the future, but also the haunting specters of their history? The crowd's energy shifted back towards doubt, and all eyes turned to Jessica, whose confidence now seemed to waver for the first time. The silence was thick. Could she win them back? And in that moment, amidst the looming tension, Sam knew nothing would truly change until they faced their fears together. Would they band together to meet the past head-on, or fracture under its weight? The silence hung heavily over the crowd, each person teetering on the edge of uncertainty. Sam watched Jessica, her eyes darting around, searching for the right words. Would she crumble under the pressure, or could she rally them again? "I know change is scary, Roger," Jessica finally replied, her voice steadier than before. "But we can't let our fears hold us back. If we don't try, we'll never know what we're capable of." Lila stepped forward, her brow furrowed, seeking the same answers that danced in the hearts of everyone else. "But what if we end up worse off? We've tried before, and it didn't work." Her voice was low, but it echoed the doubts gripping the crowd. As the flickers of uncertainty flared up again, Sam felt a rush of determination. "But what if this time is different?" she called out, finding the courage to raise her voice. A few heads turned her way. Fear gripped her stomach, yet she pressed on. "We've all been through so much. Together, we've had to dig ourselves out from under a mountain of loss and disappointment. Isn't that worth something?" Some people nodded, their expressions shifting from skepticism to contemplation. Slowly but surely, she saw eyes brighten with a glimmer of hope. Danny leaned closer, his breath warm against her ear. "You've got this, Sam," he whispered. "Just keep going." Jessica picked up on the shift, riding the wave of renewed energy. "Exactly. This community survived hardships before. We're not just a group of individuals, we're a family. A flawed family, yes, but one that's willing to fight for its own. And fighting means facing our past, to learn from it, not to be haunted by it." Roger stood, folding his arms in a show of stubbornness. "And what if someone else comes in and pushes us back down? What'll we have then?" "Then we'll stand stronger together," Sam shouted, surprising even herself with the ferocity of her words. "We're not just rebuilding walls, we're rebuilding trust, relationships, everything. If we don't support each other, how can we expect anyone else to?" The crowd stirred, a soft murmur of agreement spreading. Jessica beamed, seizing the moment. "We need everyone here. If you have a concern, voice it. We can't let fear decide our strategy. Let's talk about how we can move forward together.
Roger opened his mouth but then fell silent, challenged by Sam's earnestness. The energy in the air shifted again, and hope began to weave through the crowd like a thread stitching them together. "Maybe," he began, uncertainty lingering, "maybe we can try something new this time." Sam felt a rush of warmth as people started nodding, some voicing their own ideas, lifting the spirits. The doubts that threatened to consume them began to fade, if only for a moment. Danny squeezed her hand, pride in his eyes. "You really turned that around, Sam," he said, and suddenly the sparks flickering between them felt brighter than ever. Jessica looked out over the crowd, now buzzing with chatter and enthusiasm again. "Next weekend it is. Let's bring our best ideas. And don't forget, we can meet in smaller groups before then if needed. We'll build a plan we all can stand behind." As people started to disperse, Sam felt her heart lighten. Maybe they could do this. Maybe there was a way to rise above the past. Each step forward seemed to fade the weight of doubt just a little more. But before she could savor this moment fully, a loud crash shattered the air. A sound of breaking glass echoed from the direction of the old community center. Gasps spread through the crowd, and everyone turned towards the noise, eyes wide in fear. "What was that?" someone whispered. Sam felt her stomach drop. Was this an omen or just a coincidence? Did they truly dare to believe in hope when uncertainty lurked so closely? The shadows of their history pressed in, and as she looked at Ganny, she realized they had only just begun to unravel a new chapter in their lives. What would it take to face this unexpected chaos together? The tension in the air was palpable, thickening around them as they stood on the brink of uncertainty. Sam's heart raced as she scanned the crowd, searching for reassurance in their faces. She squeezed Danny's hand, wishing for the strength to face whatever had just shattered their moment of hope. "What do we do?" Leela's voice trembled along with her fingers as she clutched her friend's arm. "Stay calm," Jessica urged, her usual poise now laced with a hint of vulnerability. "Let's find out what happened." As the crowd shifted, inching closer to the source of the noise, Sam felt a wave of urgency surge through her. People whispered anxiously, glancing over their shoulders, uncertain if they should retreat or move forward. The community center they'd hoped to renovate now loomed ominously in the fading twilight. A few brave souls ventured toward the building's entrance, curiosity pushing them forward. "Let's check it out," Danny said, pulling Sam along with him as he stepped into the flickering light spilling from the cracked doorway. They followed the small group, the sound of their footsteps echoing through the empty hallway. The once familiar space now felt foreign, haunted by echoes of laughter and tears that used to fill the air. The dim lights flickered, casting shadows on the walls, as if reflecting the unease gnawing in Sam's stomach. Inside, shards of glass littered the floor, glinting under the dull lights. The shattered remains of a window lay sprawled across the polished surface, a jagged reminder of vulnerability. Sam's breath caught in her throat. Who broke the window? It could have been a storm, or maybe something else, Leela suggested weakly, but the uncertainty in her voice betrayed her optimism. As they surveyed the room, a figure emerged from the darkness, a small boy, perhaps 8 or 9, his face streaked with dirt and tears. "I didn't mean to," he whimpered, hands trembling as he pointed at the broken glass. "I was playing with my friends, and the ball, it just went through." Sam's heart melted at the sight of him. "Hey, it's okay," she said softly, kneeling to his level. "Accidents happen. Are you hurt?" He shook his head, his dark eyes wide with fright. "No, but everyone's gonna be mad." "No one here wants to be mad," Danny interjected, kneeling beside Sam. "But we need to fix this together. Can you help us?" The boy blinked, confusion mixed with hope. "But how?" "With teamwork," Jessica said. "This community is all about supporting each other." She smiled at Sam, eyes glimmering. "Maybe this is just what we need, a little reminder of how we can come together."
Others began to step forward, nudged by the sudden bond that formed around the boy. "We can clean this up," an older man said, breaking through the tension. "It's just glass. We've handled worse." The crowd shifted once more, this time drawing strength from one another instead of fear. Sam felt a swell of pride. They were uniting over a simple mishap. As they began to gather supplies to clean up, Sam turned to Danny. "Maybe this wasn't just a broken window. Maybe it's a sign for us," she whispered, excitement growing. "We can use this to show how we support each other, the group we want to become." Suddenly, a sharp cry broke the air, louder than the sound of glass. "Look out!" A group of teenagers burst through the door, carrying what looked like a crate full of supplies. It smashed against a wall, tipping over and spilling everything onto the floor. "What now?" Leela exclaimed, her earlier confidence wavering again. As chaos unfolded around them, Sam's heart raced. They were faced with an unanticipated challenge. Would this group fall apart again, or rise to meet it? At that moment, Sam knew they had a choice to make. Together. What would it take to unite once more, when the past seemingly loomed larger with each shattering moment? The chaos in the community center quickly enveloped them. Sam blinked against the shower of scattered supplies, her mind racing to grasp the new turn of events. A mix of laughter and disbelief erupted from the onlookers, their initial shock morphing into something
lighter. It felt like a breath of fresh air within the tense atmosphere. Danny pulled her back to reality. "Let's see what's in that crate," he called, his voice cutting through the noise. They rushed over, finding an array of colorful paint cans, brushes, and tools. Somehow, amidst the mess, hope flickered anew. "Is this for us?" a young woman shouted from the crowd. "We could use it for the renovation." "Absolutely," Jessica replied, her earlier vulnerability softening into excitement. "This is serendipitous. We can paint the walls, give this place life again." Sam's heart swelled at the idea. With each fresh splash of paint, they could erase the shadow of what just happened. People began to rally together, each taking on a role. Some felled debris, while others sorted through the supplies, discussing plans with animated voices. As the boy from before cautiously approached, Sam knelt to meet his gaze. "We're going to make this place beautiful. Want to help us paint?" His eyes lit up, a glimmer of hope breaking through his earlier fear. "Can I really?" "Of course," she said, smiling. "We'll show everyone that we can turn this mess into something amazing." Sam's heart swelled at the idea. With each fresh splash of paint, they could erase the shadow of what just happened. People began to rally together, each taking on a role. Some felled debris, while others sorted through the supplies, discussing plans with animated voices. As the boy from before cautiously approached, Sam knelt to meet his gaze. "We're going to make this place beautiful. Want to help us paint?" His eyes lit up, a glimmer of hope breaking through his earlier fear. "Can I really?" "Of course," she said, smiling. "We'll show everyone that we can turn this mess into something amazing." With a tentative nod, he stepped forward, joining their little assembly. In what felt like moments, the room transformed. Laughter echoed off the walls, amidst the clattering of paint cans and brushes. Then, just as the mood lifted, Jessica's excited voice turned serious. "Guys, I think we need to talk about how we got here. This isn't just about fixing a window anymore." The crowd fell silent, the excitement hanging heavier with the weight of her words. Sam felt a swell of emotion in her chest. This moment, this gathering, could change everything. "What do you mean?" Lila asked, her brow furrowed. Jessica took a deep breath. "This community center, it's more than just a building. It's meant to be a home for all of us. We've faced challenges before, and it's easy to forget why we're here. There's been too much focus on what divides us." Danny stepped in. "But look at us now. We're working together, regardless of our past. We have the chance to build something new." The boy nodded vigorously. "Yeah, we can make this place the best."
The crowd erupted into chatter, ideas flying, as people began sharing their thoughts, one voice building upon another. Something real sparked in the air, the sense of unity Sam had been chasing. But then an unfamiliar voice shouted from the back, disrupting the harmony. "This isn't the time for feelings. What about the repairs? Money?" A stern-faced man emerged from the shadows, the earlier excitement fading slightly. The air chilled again, as people glanced around, uncertainty creeping back in. Sam couldn't let that darkness spread. "What if we didn't focus solely on money?" she countered. "We can put our skills to work, trade labor for materials. If we work together, we can find a way." The group began to buzz with the concept, ideas spiraling once
more. Renewed energy filled their makeshift planning session, but the man remained unmoved, arms crossed tight against his chest. As Sam looked at him, she felt that knot of vulnerability return. What if he stood as a barrier between them and this new life? What if everything they built fell apart at his feet? And just as doubt crept into her heart, the boy piped up. "We can do it together. Just like I broke the window by accident, we can break this wall down." A swell of laughter broke through, tension momentarily eased, but lingering behind was the question of whether they could really find a way to unite against all the obstacles standing before them. Yet, as Sam caught Danny's hopeful gaze, she felt a flicker of resolve. She knew deep down they had to fight for what they wanted. What would happen if they faced that man together? Would he join in their effort, or serve as a reminder that the past could still shatter their hopes? The air was electric as the crowd processed the boy's words, laughter mingling with underlying tension. Sam could see uncertainty flicker in many eyes, but hope was also stirring. They had collectively faced storms before, and in that moment, a bond was forming, one that had the potential to spin straw into gold. "Let's not forget we're here to support each other," Jessica declared, her voice wavering between steady and passionate. "We can confront our fears head-on and turn this place into something beautiful together. We need more than just repairs, we need a new vision for Maplewood." Roger's skepticism weighed heavy, but Sam took a step toward him, emboldened by the collective spirit. "Roger, you're right to be cautious. This isn't easy. But aren't we all tired of waiting for someone else to take the lead? We can pull through together, redefine what success means for us." His expression softened, the rigid lines of doubt slowly giving way to contemplation. "What if it doesn't work?" he finally said, though he still spoke from a place of skepticism, a painful reminder of past failures. "Then we keep trying," Sam affirmed firmly, meeting his eyes. "That's how communities grow and change. All of us have something to contribute. Every resource we build or connection we create can lead us to open new doors." "Exactly," Danny chimed in, his youthful voice carrying a spark of courage that ignited whispers of agreement throughout the group. As if in response to the bubbling excitement, Lucy, sensing the electric moment, spoke up. "Let's put this to a vote. Do we trust that we can tackle these challenges together?" Several voices rose in favor, while others lingered in hesitation. Sam could feel the energy shifting as more people interpreted her call to action, spurred by a nascent belief in themselves and each other. Eager faces nodded in approval, eyes glimmering with renewed hope. Before they could erupt into celebration, Roger raised his hand again, reclaiming attention. "What about people like me? The practical ones, who worry about the numbers? How can we be sure that this vision will keep our town afloat?" "Because we're not just about dreams," Sam reassured him. "We're about action too. And this time, let's strive to find a balance between honoring our past and adjusting for our present." The boy from earlier had returned, his small voice chiming in. "And I can help. I can gather everyone together. We can make a list of goals. Everyone has skills." He beamed with pride, representing the innocence and hope they all had, united. Amidst the murmurs and agreement, an attorney in the back raised his hand. "I can help with legalities, grants, leases, community efforts." The ripple effect of support warmth ignited even more, as person after person began to speak up.
Let's do it, someone shouted. Let's lay down our roots right here, starting with this community center. With momentum building, Jessica gestured for calm once more. If we truly want to make this work, we have to come together as one cohesive unit. No more squabbles or doubts. Let's embrace everything, visitors and residents alike. We will bring in the artistry and skills of all, from everyone in and out of Maplewood. With Robin Hood-like fervor, people began vocalizing what they could offer. Some proposed cooking classes, others art sessions with local artists, and numerous kids chimed in about creating plays in the center that would invite others to celebrate Maplewood's spirit anew. The air thickened with possibilities, and Sam felt its warmth as it wrapped around her. With every heartfelt idea shared, she watched the heavy layers of doubt begin to peel away, revealing sparks of unity and innovation underneath. "Let's set a timeline, a launch," Sam exclaimed, the thrill of the moment driving her forward. "A community fair to show what we want to build, something visible, tangible. We can craft a vision together and show Maplewood it can flourish once again." The crowd erupted with vivacious cheers, murmurs filled the space, and hands raised toward the sky, brimming with expectation. For Sam, hope felt tangible, a shimmering thread weaving them all together. "I'll help organize the fair." Jessica smiled back at Sam, their eyes meeting in mutual understanding. The power they both felt to breathe life into Maplewood felt like a promise fulfilled. The sun dipped lower, casting long shadows that mingled with light. In that moment, Sam understood. They weren't just resetting their past, they were creating their future. At that moment, she felt gratitude wash over her, for preservation, for renewal. Maplewood had stood together against waves of time, and finally, it felt ready to rise. Suddenly, the boy called out again. "Can we have characters from Vikings? I want to wear a costume." Laughter erupted once more, this time a free-spirited burst of joy and infectious belief. In that blissful moment, Sam exchanged glances with Leela and Danny, their smiles radiating hope and strength. Maplewood wouldn't just rebuild, it would thrive, craft it
Stories for itself. So many intertwining lives, gathered together, brimming with dreams beginning to bloom into reality. And so, as they stepped forward hand in hand into that gleaming future, a collective breathing began, stitching the fabric of their hopes, ready to nurture a legacy that would withstand time's trials and triumphs. As they began brainstorming further along, the warmth of community wrapped around them. This moment wouldn't just fade, it would flourish, echoing their journey anew. Now, dear friends, this is where we need you. If you loved what you just read, you need to subscribe now. Hit that bell and mark all notifications to not miss out on the next transformation. Don't wait, not even one more second. Leave a like now to make a difference in our reach, and comment your thoughts on how you would rebuild a community. And please, share instantly with at least 5 friends who need to see this story of hope and renewal. Genuinely, only true fans understand the importance of supporting this channel. Your journey with us matters. Let's keep this spirit alive.